What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pod and Play here in Season 3 on Nerds Gone Rogue. I'm Corey, and joining me as always is Eddie V, Edward Varnell.
Yo, yo, yo.
That Retro Code on Twitter. We're playing inFamous First Light. You know, a lot of the games we have focused on this season are usually revolving around Xbox or Nintendo, but inFamous is such a great game that we would like to, play First Light. It's a great game.
Yes.
Second Son, in my opinion, is still one of the best exclusives on PlayStation 4. It's definitely one of my favorites. And this was like, Sony started doing this thing with probably The Last of Us last gen, where like they would start releasing standalone expansions that were kind of like, yeah, you don't really need the game to play this. You can just buy this little expansion pack and play through it without owning the original version of the game. Like they did that with the Ellie expansion in Last of Us. They did it with Lost Legacy and Uncharted. Like they've really started experimenting with that, and this game is no exception. And man, I love inFamous so much. And a lot of people really wish they would have made this like a fully fledged game because they like this character so much. I forget what the character's name is. But anyways, what are your opinions on inFamous, Ed?
I love it. This is kind of one of their games that got me more into Sucker Punch. Because I believe Sucker Punch did the Sly Cooper games.
Yep.
And I enjoyed the Sly Cooper games, but I could never finish them. There was just something about those games that great platforming, but it was just like they didn't keep my interest throughout the game. But play inFamous and like really enjoyed it. And then got into inFamous 2, and I was just like, I was going the evil route, and then without knowing, they switched my character good. But they played so well, and the missions were fun. So when they did inFamous Second Son, I wasn't worried about they ended Cole's story or Colt's story, and I was kind of Cole. Is it Cole? Cole?
Yeah, from the first two games.
Yeah. I wasn't worried that they ended his story with the second one, you know. But we did inFamous Second Son on Pod and Play 2, and truly enjoyed that game. Had a great discussion, and when like this expansion came out, I kind of was just like, oh, this is cool. And then I heard a lot of great reviews and stuff about it. So this is be my first time playing it. Playing it, but I enjoyed the inFamous games.
Yeah. It's one of those series that I really thought that. I really thought that, you know, they were gonna. Oh, okay. I really thought that they were gonna like keep doing this, and now Sucker Punch is doing Ghost of Tsushima. And like, it's really sad that they're not going back to inFamous. Oh yeah, I forgot this was like her special move was like the. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. You had to like zoom through the people. I don't really remember. Escape the docks. Okay. Yeah, her special power is like this flash move, which I thought was like the coolest move. Because the big thing with Delsin, which I think a lot of people preferred Cole over Delsin, was like Delsin could inherit the powers of other superheroes that he met, or other people with powers, right? That was like the big draw of inFamous Second Son, was like Delsin was an absorber, where he would literally absorb the powers of people around him. And I think a lot of understanding where, like, you know, a lot of people maybe would have rather than stick with like one power through the whole game, or like one or two powers that you could switch up and upgrade throughout the game,
Yes.
which was like okay, but I actually really liked Delson and that character and like what they did. So yeah, I don't know. I liked Infamous on PS3. I think that was the game that made me buy a PS3. And then I ended up obviously getting like Uncharted and some other exclusives, but 360 was my main platform that gen. But
Yeah.
you know, I like PlayStation, a lot of PlayStation exclusives enough to have both platforms, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't really know where I'm supposed to go. It just says evade the police. But I actually really, really, really liked Infamous Second Son, like a lot.
Yeah. I think I have to return to it and finish it. Um, I've been trying to go through my backlog and uh, kind of go through it alphabetically.
There's so many games I need to finish.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. As soon as you started to glow, the whole city went crazy. This is too dangerous. We need to leave now. The DUP's coming.
I thought you wanted a fresh start. And you know I want that cat. Just tell me where the job is so I can do it.
Fine, just be fast.
I don't really know where to go now. I'm just running around in this little glowy thing.
Okay, so now I got to get to the apartment.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. We had this discussion when we talked about when we when we played Second Son last season.
Yes.
And you know, superhero games are probably gonna start coming in full force soon. You know, with Spider-Man kind of leading it off, and you know, Crystal Dynamics and IDOS Montreal have the Avengers Initiative and the Guardians of the Galaxy rumored game that we'll probably see at some point next year. Do you think like it's gonna hit that point where people are just fatigued of superheroes, and that's why Sucker Punch didn't return to it?
No, not really. I think the thing about it is that you know there superhero games haven't been successful, and I still think they won't be successful because there's only been two successful games probably, uh, and as in brands. And even they had a little bit problem. Like Batman is one of them, and kind of the Spider-Man games has been the second one in a sense. So one for Marvel, one for DC.
Yeah, but a lot of people were super skeptical about Batman Arkham when it came out, right? Like
Right.
it wasn't until after. It wasn't. Whoa, what? Hold on.
Knock, knock.
Oh, there we go. Okay. It wasn't until like reviews started coming out about Asylum that people really loved it, you know?
Right.
And like I still think Asylum is the best one still because of its contained experience. When it went open world, it was kind of like meh. Like it's fine. It's just like I prefer the like it was that first game was so Metroidy that it was really just fun. Who's throwing grenades in an apartment?
Where's that duffel?
Pick up duffel bag. What's in the
Oops.
briefcase?
What you buying?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoops.
My
But and then Spider-Man is like, it's more of a oh no, I hate the speaker on the controller.
What happened?
The place was full of Russians dancing around a prom.
Get current. They found him.
Found who?
My boss.
Oh, I died. No.
Know about our boat. We gotta go now.
Fine, load up the engine. I'll be right there.
I'm sorry about all this. I really wanted to get you this Burmese cat.
All right. But even Spider-Man, like, I think the Spider-Man games sold. Oh my gosh, stop ringing.
I'll be right there.
I think Spider-Man sold on the Spider-Man name alone, and not necessarily how the quality of the games. I mean, they were fine. They were like fine, okay games. But I always thought Spider-Man was like, they could have done a lot more. Which, I think Insomniac is the right company to be doing Spider-Man.
Yes, that I agree.
Movement and like the movement and stuff.
Brent?
I really do. And I think Spider-Man will be successful, which it's probably already out by the time you guys see this. I actually think this episode is going up on the weekend Spider-Man comes out. Which, I think next season we'll probably touch on Spider-Man a little bit. I am interested in that game, but
I need you.
we'll see.
Start to freak out. I'd focus on Brent.
So, I mean, I thought inFamous was like a really cool take on
Good man.
that on the superhero, just because like the Marvel movies were just starting to come into like their own, and Dark Knight and that trilogy of movies was really successful, and they had rebooted Spider-Man for this first time. Like, I think a lot of people are like really starting to get into superheroes, and this was like a cool take on that, And the cutscenes were cool because they were really like comic book panel-y and kind of like an animated comic book panel with really cool art design. Especially like these ones that you're seeing right now are super cool.
Used my powers. It was my
So.
body was gone. It was mine.
Yeah, I remember when it came to kind of these games, like these comic book style games, it will mostly be like a beat 'em up, like Konami,
Yeah.
and they were mostly into like arcade games. But I think after the success of Arkham Asylum, people figure that if we take more of these games in this approach in gameplay and design, because even Spider-Man on the GameCube and PS2 days, like they were decent enough, but they were like movie tie-ins,
Yeah.
and you will mostly see a game. If it wasn't in an arcade, it was like a movie tie-in when it came to a superhero game. Yeah. But you got stuff like this that's just like, it feels original and it feels like a video game, and nothing was wrong with that. What's on my cane? Sorry about that, everybody. Just trying to live my life. But it's just something that, like, back in the day, that superhero games kind of had a bad rap to it. And it kind of, it was only a selected few who could even do a superhero game justice. How? Sorry, to Seattle.
So the premise of this little expansion is like, you've been captured, and you're being put through all these tests by the government, which is interesting. Which is really interesting that I don't sometimes feel like we're that far off from that happening in real life, but in a different situation. So,
Yeah. So about that, yeah.
not to get too political, but
We've been political on this show before, everybody.
I know. I just
The point is
strange.
not just for you, but for those who can't defend themselves.
It's
Go on, protect him.
waiting water. Still my thing.
Nice to see you still
Trying
have
to
some
get back to the
fight.
dock.
Let's hope your other
Oh no, cutscene.
But like, man, the movement feels really good in this game.
find and
Yes.
according to my files, you could see people through walls. Is that no longer true?
He's been captured.
Not to worry, Eugene will make another.
Yeah, saved a hostage. Woo!
Now, with the second hostage somewhere nearby, but this time you have to move quickly to save him or he'll die. Horribly.
Ooh, that was a cool move. Collect the hostage. I collected him.
Wasn't the fastest time I've seen you. Let's keep this.
Loss.
I have one special point. Nailed it.
Push yourself. How high can you jump?
Oh, her again. Well, because we haven't said anything. Focus on the game, everybody.
You've proven basic mastery. But are you
I think one of the worst superhero games, I think still to this day, and a lot of people can already guess it, is Superman 64. I've never seen that game in stores. I read the reviews, but I had, I guess, no interest in it.
Yeah, Superman 64 was not great. Sorry, these challenges are interesting. But yeah, Superman 64. I remember playing that. I don't even remember why I was playing it, but like I just remember playing it and I was like, this first level was like flying through the stupid rings. And I
Yeah.
was like, what is happening in this game? This is clearly a bad game. Like it was like I don't know if it was one of the first times I recognized like a bad game, but it was definitely like what's happening here? Like why are we playing this game? You know? And like I was like, what is happening in this game? Because it was like real bad. And I don't even mean like it was a bad game. Like it was just terrible, man. You know, it was it was, man. And then like the multiplayer stuff with the spaceships. I was like, Superman can fly. Why is he flying in a spaceship? Like You know, like why? Like why is this happening right now?
Better hurry. This new hostage looks
So, I mean, it's just like really bad. If you haven't seen it, look up YouTube videos and stuff. It was
you need more.
interesting. It's an interesting game. It's definitely not fun. You know, it really like there was a point in the 90s when licensed games were not great, and even into like I'd say only very recently there were some licensed games that are like, you know, licensed games started really picking up in terms of quality because they realized like, you know, hey, if we make a good video game, it might sell more copies and we don't have to tie it to anything. And now like the crappy tie-in games are kind of kind of stuck on mobile devices, you know,
Yeah.
which is fine. It's like whatever. Nobody really cares about mobile games in terms of like really caring about them, but shooting guys with this energy blast is super fun. And you know, I think really with Batman and then the Cybertron Transformers games like is really where, you know, licensed games were really starting to be taken seriously, because there was a Dark Knight game in development and they canceled it, and because like Rocksteady was working on the Arkham games, and I think a lot of people really appreciated like, hey, maybe we don't have to make crappy license games to like make money, and I'm really glad they decided to do that. And Arkham really showed like, hey, Batman games can be fun. They can't be like what they had one based on the animated series, I think, for GameCube and PS2, and then they had a couple other ones that were just like real bad, you know.
Yeah.
And that doesn't. It's not just Batman. There was a lot of licensed stuff that was real bad. Ninja Turtles games were bad for a while. Some would argue that some of them are still pretty bad. I don't even remember. I think the last great Turtles licensed game was actually Injustice, which was the DC fighting game, but they were just DLC characters, which Jesse says that they're really, really fun to play as, and I just haven't gotten around to do it yet. But I don't know. Licensed games though. What are some of your favorite licensed games that maybe are not the best games but still fun to play?
I'm sorry, I have to pause this one for this question. Of course, okay, so X-Men, Simpsons Arcade, you know, that's out of the way. Of course, Turtles of Time is another one.
Some would say the best licensed game ever made. Just throwing that out there. This guy.
Well, they're not wrong, so.
But
Oh goodness. Let's see. Some of the best of them. I know there was a Superman beat 'em up arcade game that I used to play, and a Captain America one.
for 360?
No, arcade.
Oh.
Not 360. The Wolverine was kind of good.
The X-Men Origins game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was awesome. I really enjoyed that game. That game was really cool. That was one of Raven Software's last games before they got put on Call of Duty map packs forever.
That's a shame.
I'm Shane. Shane? Oh, Brent never told me that his sister...
Yeah, man. I totally forgot about that. I forgot about the Wolverine game. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys should, because it did like it wasn't the best game ever, but it did some really cool things with Wolverine where like you as you got hit, like chunks of your body would be missing, and like you could literally be playing as an adamantium skeleton. and it was really cool.
Yeah.
That game was really cool. Go to the top of the neon sign. Okay. Guess I can do that.
Hey there, Fetch. Now, I put out my feelers, but these occurrences are on a hair trigger. We'll have to move fast on the lead.
And
I'm already headed for some neon gas.
I reckon. Now, I love huffing gas.
oh, it's over here. Okay. Turtles in Time is definitely,
The gas helps me run.
that, and I like to throw Hyperstone Heist in there because I think that's a totally underrated game that people don't talk about enough. It was basically Genesis's Turtles in Time. It was literally almost the same game.
Yeah, I remember Sega also doing it. Let's see. Sega also did one, Batman and Robin. They was basing it off the cartoon.
Yeah.
Alright, lazy neon gas. Go make yourself useful.
Yeah, I really like the X-Men arcade game, which I wish was backwards compatible on Xbox. The original Turtles arcade game was pretty good too, like in terms of just clear, fun arcade experiences.
Yeah.
Pretty much any Konami beat 'em up at that time was really fun. Man, the movement in this game is so much fun.
So fluid.
Yeah, it is. Like it's just fun to move around this world. It's even better than like the original game. Man.
And it moves.
Big one and it moves.
Fetch, sweetheart, do you have something?
Let's see, what other licensed games are there that are really good? Oh, the Cybertron Transformers games are really fun. They're just
Some of them are iffy, even though I haven't played them all.
the first two. The first two. War for
The Fall of
Cybertron.
Cybertron.
War for Cybertron is the first one, which was a decent game. It was basically a Transformers. It was basically a Gears of War ripoff, is what it was. But it was still it was really cool. And then the second one took away the co-op, which I thought was a bad move, but the rest of the game was so good, man.
Thing's pretty fast.
Whoops. I guess I didn't really know what I was doing. All right. The second one was really cool. It did a lot of cool things with weapons and had some very, very light RPG mechanics and weapon upgrade stuff. It was cool, man. It was definitely they re-released it. I don't know if it's remastered at all, but definitely it was remastered for Xbox One and PS4. I don't know if those games had bugs in it or not, but definitely the 360 version was really good. I don't understand what they're trying to get me to do here. But let's see, what else was really good lately? I don't know. There's a few decent ones in the last few.
Oh, none of you speak English?
That's racist. She's
We're
just
calling
none of you speak English. Not everybody speaks English.
right.
I mean, I don't care. It was just it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Let's see.
I'm trying to really think of stuff recently.
I know Comic Zone was one back in the day, but that was kind of Sega's, but that wasn't licensed or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not so much Sonic or Mega Man, because those were video games first who became comics.
Yeah, I mean they're not.
Oh,
Man,
was it
what?
the Tux's Adventure video game on on Nintendo? I think.
I don't remember.
My feelers just fun from juicy. Now, the occurrence are about to receive a stockpile of guns.
I don't remember, man. Um,
The armed men out kicking in
I mean, there are some pretty bad ones on 360 and PS3 as well, like the Iron Man games.
Uh
Whew,
huh.
those were bad. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you how bad they were, Ed. Let me
How
tell.
how bad were they?
They were so bad that like I played the second one was even worse than the first one, and I played. Um. Oh, that was cool. That was cool. I played the first one, and like the flight was so bad that like I don't know how it got past certification. Like I flew through the ground.
Wow.
Like I flew through the ground, and I was like, how? Like I don't understand. How do you fly through the ground? And then the second one was so bad to the point where I was just like, I don't understand how some of these can get through cert. Like I really don't. And then the Captain America game was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. Uh, but at the same time, it was like, no, no thanks. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how these Avengers games turn out. Not that like I'm a huge Avengers fan or anything, but like I'm interested to see the. I'm more interested because of who's developing them, because the Tomb Raider games are such amazing games, and that's the team that's working on them is Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah.
And that has me intrigued because that's what I'm more interested in, more than the license itself. But like, I mean, we talked about this on the Second Son episode last season of like, just the superhero thing's just so fatigued. Like I'm just tired. Every time I turn around, it's just like superhero stuff, and it's like, man. But I don't know. But our the last thing I kind of want to talk about in this game, or not this game, but like Sucker Punch in general. I kind of want to talk about your thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima,
Yes.
because that's their next game, and clearly they did that after, or they're doing that after this.
jumping us. Better cover my ass.
Wait.
See, honey, find out it was me that stole this stuff. There'll be a retribution.
Okay, I guess I'm just supposed to ride this thing. But what are your thoughts on Ghosts?
Hold on 1 second. I have to pause the game. I loved it. When I first seen the trailer, I was like, "This is the ultimate must-have for me." And it looks beautiful. I can't wait to play it. I know that it feels like it kind of gives me the vibe that if you get hit one time, like you're literally dead. Um, but I'm loving how this game is going. What this game is going to be. I haven't played a samurai like Animushi style game in a long time, so I'm looking very forward to this. I think this is probably going to be another great win for PlayStation when this come out as their first party exclusive. Because in my opinion, they don't have enough that I could say, oh, this is like some of their best games. Like to me personally, I'll probably put like inFamous, Uncharted 4, Horizon, Last Guardian, and the Ghost of Tsushima. It's going to probably be their top 5 must-haves for a first party. If Sucker Punch could do a great job. How long it's going to be, I don't know. But I'm very intrigued. Hopefully they give me more swords. Hopefully I get different battle armor, like to make me stronger, and like side missions and quests. Like I hope it is very open to the point where it's just not like a story driven arena to arena based game. I was like, I hope there's like missions and saving towns and going to shops and getting coins and kind of having a little bit of a moral system in place for it. Like, I just hope that they open it up, that it makes the game longer, that makes me want to get everything. Like, if I want better armor stuff, I had to go on the side mission. I had to go on this old temple or this castle that's been hunted or taken over. I one thing I do hope they do not do. I do not want any crafting in this game. I want to just buy my stuff. If I have to craft, I want to be able where I find if I do a mission, or if I do a side mission to get that items, that map is in that building, and then I have to get all the crafting items within that mission in that building. So when I finish it, I could go ahead and craft it. It can have a boss or a mid boss or whatever, a master or anything that I need to fight to get the last piece. The weapon that you takes from them is like maybe the best, not best item, but it's the main item that you need to do this, put this thing together. And that's what I want. I don't want to be like I gotta get 5 Uyos and then 6 springs and 15 gorilla finger clips to make like a shotgun or something. It sounds weird, but just using that as an example.
Right.
I just want it to be kind of in that sense. Like, I don't think resources and crafting are needed in a game at a shop. If I go to a shop, it should already be there. Like, we don't craft stuff at Target, and then the bot had to pay for it to buy it.
Right.
So, but I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think that was kind of one of Sony's best games, with Control also, and Spider-Man shown at E3. Like, for first party wise, I think Ghost of Tsushima took first place, with Spider-Man being second. Spider-Man being second, Days Gone being third. So, but Ghost of Tsushima, I'm looking forward to. When I seen that trailer, I was just like, oh, I need this. I need this so much.
Yeah, it's really... I'm really interested to see how that game is, because that demo they showed us, was pretty in-depth, and that was just a side mission.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wonder if they're going to almost have like a Witcher type approach to it, where like you don't really know where one story or one side mission begins and one ends type of deal. And like, I don't know if like really how the side missions affect the main story.
Yes.
I think that would be really cool. Oh my gosh, this phone on this controller. It's so bad. And I think that's going to be what's really interesting about it, because that game looks really good. I think the engine they're using is really pretty. You know what I mean? So
yes.
The movement looks really cool. I think the combat looks pretty interesting. So
I wonder if they'll probably have like one-on-one battles at times. So I have a feeling we'll. What the heck?
So I mean, I really want to see how that game pans out, especially because like, a lot of people, for some, like, for better or for worse, got kind of upset with Sucker Punch for like their Native American stuff in Second Son being kind of not insensitive, but kind of wrong, I guess. And they really look like they're taking the time to learn about the I passed where I needed to go. it looks like they're taking the time to kind of get the history and stuff right with Ghosts. So
Yeah. Oh. Dang.
where's the hot spot here? There it is. Okay, there we go. Wait, did I mess up? Why am I doing this again? There we go. But yeah, I think Ghost could kind of put Sucker Punch back on the map. I think they've had a lot of. And don't get me wrong, I think Sucker Punch is a great studio, but I think they've over the years, and with some lack of critical success of inFamous Second Son, like I think. Which is $20 by the way now, part of the PlayStation Greatest Hits line. So if you haven't played it, I do recommend going out and getting it. But I think Ghost of Tsushima has the chance of putting them back on the map as one of Sony's top developers.
Yeah.
Shane, I got their attention. Get you guys out.
And I'm kind of glad to see, that they're making something new and original.
Yeah,
I think,
which is what we gave, what we gave Sony credit for in the Witcher episode that we did this season, where we talked a lot about sequelitis and stuff, and I really think Sony, for better or for worse, has gone out of their way to really kind of, with the exception of Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us Part 2, they've really gone out of their way to make new IP and really kind of stress that they want their studios to make new take creative chances and stuff. Which there's been a few missteps. There's been sequels like God of War, like is an IP that we know, but they changed it. Horizon was a great success for them. But there were some missteps with, as much as, we like The Order, like that was not a fantastic game by any means. Gran Turismo kind of had some missteps. There's been a few games that have taken missteps, but I think that's part of creating something new, and something that Ubisoft does well is, when they create an IP, they throw the concept out there, and if it doesn't work, they come back to it. Watch Dogs is a great example. Assassin's Creed is a great example from them. The Division, by all accounts, is not necessarily like we don't know anything how the sequel plays or anything, but we do know that they kept up with that game where the concept was cool, and some people had some issues with some of the games. They came back and fixed it. Rainbow Six. Siege. When that game came out, interesting concept. They worked at it, and created something that people really wanted to play. And I thought, I give them credit for that.
Yeah.
So, video games. Really?
Yeah.
Video games.
I do wonder though, with PlayStation 5 kind of being hinted at in the future, will Sony continue making story-based games, and will the hardcore and not so much Sony's fan base or anything, but will the hardcore kind of continue to want to continue to want these kind of games?
Well,
story based.
I think Sony, as of right now at least, they see the success of their third-party games as a service, and they get a chunk of all that, right? I mean, to have the game on your platform, what is it, like 30%? I think goes to the developers, and or goes to Sony, and the rest goes to the developers. I think that's pretty standard for all cases. But I think Sony with the money. Whoa, I can fly. Is this a thing? What?
Oh, when you hold down next.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Whoa, that's cool. But with Sony, kind of, I think they are interested in still making single player experiences. You know, I have no doubt there's going to be a Horizon 2 on PlayStation 5. I have no doubt there's going to be a sequel to God of War on PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ghost of Tsushima, and I will almost guarantee you there's going to be a Last of Us Part 3, which, you know.
Well, I think it's going to conclude the story.
And I think there's definitely going to... I think inFamous will come back around at some point. But, you know, I think they're taking a different approach than even Microsoft. You know, I think Microsoft wants their first-party games to be games as service, and we've seen that, and we're seeing that with Halo Infinite, which by all accounts is going to be a games as a service. You know, they're looking at it as a new way to distribute content, where it is Master Chief's next thing. It's basically going to be Halo 6, but you know, there's a rumor out there right now where they're going to have something, which I kind of remember the Spec Ops mode in Halo 4, where they had like 2 seasons of like weekly content.
Yeah.
And it was like basically co-op missions within the environments with your friends.
Yes.
I think that's how they're going to distribute story for Halo Infinite, where like it'll launch with a campaign, but then a year later or so, it's going to launch another campaign where, you know, you can play co-op with your friends. And I think that's going to be the way they distribute content in that game. You know, Gears 5 looks interesting. I think they're going to tell a compelling story, but there's no doubt that Multiplayer suite is going to be their games as a service, right? And I almost think Crackdown will probably be the same way. You know, I don't know if there's going to be a bunch of... I mean, I'm sure the campaign will be co-op. I'm sure, you know, there's also going to be cosmetic multiplayer things that you can buy and be their games as a service. So...
Which I think with Crackdown, I think that game is going to get delayed out again. I don't think it's coming out in February.
Yeah, dude. There's so many games coming out in February. I don't think they're gonna want to, like, you know, Anthem, The Division, Metro, Days Gone. If you're a Sony player, like, there's already so many third-party games coming out on that day. That's like,
which is why I think Nintendo, for this holiday, it's just gonna dominate, because they're gonna have all their stuff out that we're gonna be excited for and ready to play, already good to go. And then when it comes to January or February next year, Nintendo don't have to worry about losing out on too much, because everybody else is going to be battling for getting games. And what's going to be the one game that people are going to be playing, and what game is going to be their backlog?
right.
It's out in February. That's great and all, but then it's like, when is that February game going to get played that year?
Yeah.
You know, does Days Gone come first?
I think Days Gone's going to be pushed. I don't think they want that coming out on the same day as Anthem. And I think the same holds true for Crackdown. They do not want that game coming out around Anthem or The Division. And, like, I think Metro is a different type of game where, like, the hardcore Metro, they're making that for the hardcore Metro fans. It's not really like a game to be super, like, you know what I mean? Like, Metro is its own beast of a game where, like, yeah, the people who love Metro are going to play it.
Well, it'll be so surprising that if all of those top games that come out get in from the 8 to 9.5 range.
Yeah.
After all the
be,
delays.
It's going to be the Mass Effect situation again, where, like, you know, Mass Effect Andromeda could have been like a 7.5, 8, but then you have so many 9s and 10s surrounding it that, like, that's why, you know, that game suffered a little bit. Well, that and like the bugs and stuff, but like, you know what I mean? Like, who's gonna buy a 7 or 8 game when there's a bunch of 10s out there?
True. Very, very true.
So, but Ed, we are approaching that hour mark here on Pod and Play, so I think this is a great place to stop the episode.
All right.
So, this has been another episode of Pod and Play here on Nerds Gone Rogue. Remember, you can find Season 3 episodes all the way through November this season. Go back and watch Season 2 if you want to see some Second Son action or some other games. You know, we've got a bunch of episodes up there for you to listen to, and they are meant to be evergreen episodes, so you can kind of watch them whenever you want and kind of get a feel for everything. Check out the Nindy Showcase we did over the summer. Really proud of that. Check out our family of podcasts, including Nerds Gone Platinum, since this is a PlayStation game. Also, if you're into Xbox and Nintendo, download Pal Block and Arsenal X, and Nerds Gone Rogue, our flagship show of the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, we love you.
Bye, everybody.
Man, this game feels so good to just move around in. This sprinting mechanic and everything just feels really good.
Right.